Got Your Back Pod Stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com. You know, sometimes the big dog is just going to eat, and that is exactly what Alex Ovechkin did against the Edmonton Oilers here on Sunday, capping off a train wreck of a weekend. After a bunch of time off, the Oilers have come back and fallen flat on their faces through a couple of games here. How about 7 goals against and a 7-3 loss? We are getting set to break it all down. Welcome to Got Your Back, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in here on this late Sunday afternoon. Rob Brown is standing by. Jason Strudwick expressed to me he was, getting a little overworked. So I gave Struddy the day off today because I'm his boss and I can do that. So Struds has the day off today, thanks to me. But he will return later on this week. In his place, coming up, Jamie McLennan. Yes, Noodles. Gonna hop in. I know a lot of you have wanted to talk goaltending recently, so I tasked Noodles with looking into the Oiler goaltending, and we'll see what the expert has to say. Our show is always brought to you by Play Alberta, where it's always game time. Bet on sports, find your new favorite slot, hit the tables, play on a virtual table with a live dealer, grab lottery tickets. You can do all of that safely with responsible gambling tools to help keep you safe. Deposit today, get a $50 free bet with the code GYB02. Visit playalberta.ca. Coming at you from our Adrenaline Diesel studio, it's Edmonton's premier heavy-duty diesel truck repair shop, specializing in powertrain, tuning, performance, and parts sales. Visit adrenalinediesel.ca. As we check in with Rob Brown now, rumor has it, Brownie, your Adrenaline Diesel studio in the basement is needing a little work, buddy. I feel terrible for you. What happened?
We were our second last day on our trip. We went to Costa Rica. We got a phone call from our daughter's babysitter, and we're like, uh-oh, what did Annie do? Oh, nothing, but we've had a flood. So it's the whole basement is getting torn up, and so I'm kind of I tried watching the game over top of chairs and lamps, and all the paintings are off the wall. So yeah, it was not the best way to come home from a relaxing trip, but it is what it is.
That's a downer. Well, I would say if there's a saving grace, it's that it didn't happen on like day 2. So then you just would have been sitting there stressing the entire trip. Like it was like second last day. So really probably kind of rattled you for the ride home, but other than that, didn't bite into too much of the vacation.
It didn't. I mean, that's why we have insurance, right? It's going to get fixed. I'm not the one fixing it, so there's no stress on me. My insurance agent, Heather, is fantastic. It's all being taken care of. It's just a little hectic, and we have 13 industrial fans in our house right now. I had to unplug them all to be able to do this right now. It gets really loud in here.
I bet. Well, wish you the best with all that, buddy. Wish you the best.
Thank you.
If there's anything Struds can do, just let him know. He'll be right over to help out being the handyman that he is. That was an ugly one, man. It's been an ugly weekend for the Oilers. Like, were you any good coming out of breaks, or were you like, how did you find coming out of breaks?
Well, we never had breaks like they do now. There was never a 10, 12-day break or 14 days between games. It just was unheard of. Our Christmas break, every year we played the 23rd and the 26th. We had 2 days off for all. Right. I played pro for 16 years. So I had 2 days off at Christmas. So I would imagine, and actually I know that if I had 14 days off and all these players went south, they relaxed, they enjoyed themselves, there is zero chance when I came back that I would have been as good a shape as when I left. Now, these players are better than me. They're in better shape than me. Their dedication is better, but it would affect me. But this isn't as though the Oilers had time off and the Capitals didn't, or the Flyers didn't. So this is the break. The Oilers weren't very good before the break. So this is, to me, just a continuation of what we saw in the last, I think since the Oilers won 6-2 in Vancouver, I do not think they've been a very good defensive team. And it's starting to show when they start to play better hockey clubs.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, we got a hat trick from Ovi, a pile of goals against, and a second consecutive crappy performance, frankly, to dive into. So let's get to our breakdown, my friend. It's brought to you by the Alberta Ram Dealers. The 4x4 winter event is here. Get up to $11,200 in total discounts on a 2024 Ram 1500 DT Bighorn at your Alberta Ram dealer. Go check out your Ram dealer today. Beautiful trucks inside and out. It didn't start terribly. Oilers on a lucky call, I would say, ended up getting the first goal, a nice typical Leon Draisaitl power play goal, 42nd of the year. Unbelievable, the goal-scoring pace that Draisaitl is setting here. He's got a 9-goal lead as of the time of this taping on the next guy, so that's really impressive. The heck happened after that, Brownie? Like, what fell out of their game? Because they started not bad.
Yeah, they did. It's just like in Philly yesterday. They didn't start well, but then they had about a 14-minute stretch in the first period where they were dominant. Tonight they got it was a phantom call. I mean, Connor McDavid toe-picked. The ref blew the call, but when you get a gift, you take advantage of it. The Oilers did. Nice power play goal. But really good teams, and the Washington Capitals are a really good team. They don't get upset, or they don't get down. They don't get disheveled when they fall behind in a hockey game. They said during the game what their record was when they give up the first goal. It's fantastic. And they just kept pushing forward, and they played a game that the Oilers have struggled against this year. They played a big, physical, detailed, simple game. Every team has an identity, and the Washington Capitals' identity is big boy hockey. When they're in the offensive zone, it goes low to high, and it's going on net. So as soon as the puck goes to the point, go to the net. That's where the defenseman, everything he's going to try to do is get the puck to the net, and they did. So, and the other thing that the Capitals are really good at is when they cross the center line, if they don't have numbers, they dump pucks in. So it's really good. If I'm the left winger, I come up to center and I see that the right winger's got the puck and it's 3-on-3, I know he's dumping it in. So I'm already going full speed. The Oilers just struggled with that. They struggled playing against it. For the second game in a row, I think the Oilers lacked emotion. For the second game in a row, they lacked discipline in their defensive game. They turned the puck over. I think it's just a continuation again of what they were like before the break. They are not playing good defensive hockey, and you cannot win in the National Hockey League if your defense is suspect. And when I say defense, I don't mean the defenseman. I mean the team as a whole defensively has not been good.
Yeah. Quality chiming in saying Oilers' identity is perimeter. A lot of stress on the stream. I think we're going to sense that here. And just so you know, a little bit later on in the show, in our Take a Lap segment, we'll go a little bit bigger picture with where the Oilers are at, how to process this stretch that they're in here, what it should mean heading towards trade deadline. So for now, we're going to talk about the game that we saw today and this last little bit of hockey. And then Noodles will jump in and talk some goaltending with us in the next segment. By the way, he's going to have a Jason Strudwick story for today's edition of Struddy's World. So certainly looking forward to that one. Not sure if the big guy's listening out there or not. I hope so, because there's nothing he can do about it. Brownie, it's the lack of give a crap. Like they seem a little bit disinterested here coming out of the break. You know, the game against Colorado was pretty bad before. They hit the break, they come out of it, and I don't know. I just didn't sense that it was a team, killing itself to figure that out once they got down a few goals. I mean, they kind of just went away and stayed away until the end. The requisite kind of pushback, effort level, kind of trying to find a way to spin the momentum back in their direction. There wasn't much there from them today in trying to do that. Like, they just seemed to start, like they were slow. They just got slow, and they just looked slow for the rest of the game almost. Well,
let's go back 24 hours. The Oilers were in the game against Philadelphia going into the third period, down a couple, but the game still hung in the balance. We know with the other team, 2 goals is nothing in 20 minutes. And in the third period, when you think there's going to be a push, they're going to outshoot them 19-5. The Oilers had 3 shots against a non-playoff Philadelphia Flyer team. So to go to your point that they didn't have a pushback or the give-a-heck meter wasn't very high, 3 shots in a game that they still had a chance in. And then today, I agree. There's I know that you talk about physicality a lot, and I don't know if it's not part of the Oilers' identity, but most teams, when they fall behind, they get mad or they get angry, and then the physical part comes out in a game. We didn't see that. The desperation on back checks, you didn't see that. How many times, like, for example, the Ovechkin goal from just inside the tops of the circles, 3-on-2, it was a slow moving 3-on-2 that Strome was able to cut across in front of Ovechkin, drop it back to Ovechkin. Ovechkin took his time, pulled the puck in, and skated in about, 5-6 feet and picked the corner. At no point did you see a back checker in the camera. Like, it never ever happened. So the desperation, to me, defensively has not been there in the last. It hasn't been there for 12 games, but it certainly wasn't there these last 2 games. They just when you from covering the game forever and from being a player, and I know from making the mistake, when a mistake is made, the guy that makes the mistake, you've never seen him skate so fast in his life. When you make a mistake, you're the one fixing it. We're not seeing that right now. Yeah, absolutely. We're just the desperation has not been there. Philadelphia played desperate. Today, Washington, who really, in all honesty, if there's a team that can take a day off, it's Capitals where they are in the standings. There was a desperation in their game. And they are a team that leads the league in goals. Outside of Ovechkin, who is at the end of his superstar career. That is a team of misfits, team of guys that nobody else wanted. And they lead the league in goals. The Oilers have Hyman and Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl and McDavid. So they played with a much bigger urgency than the Edmonton Oilers did. And that is the concerning thing for the Oilers.
Spencer Carberry, I'll tell you what, like, it's not often that first or second place teams, people consider them, in a coach of the year, because normally they're really good teams that are expected to do that. But the job that he's done with the collection of players that you're talking about, the way he has them playing, the performances he's getting out of these players. They got a bunch of guys. Ovi just turning back the clock. Tom Wilson, career year. They've got some guys having
Dylan Strome,
impressive years.
Chikrin, like Strome. All these. Now I don't know about you, but at the beginning of the season, we always do our little on Ched, and we always do who we think are making the playoffs. I didn't have the Washington Capitals making the playoffs.
No, me neither. I think most people didn't, Brownie. I think a lot of the pundits had them, out or just out. And I think that, and it was all about what's this going to be like for Ovechkin this year? Is it going to be meaningless games and chasing this goal, this goal total, when it's just been such a, for the games to be as meaningful as they've been, the team to be in the mix while Ovechkin's in the middle of chasing this. I was going to get to him in a minute, but since we're here, let's just dive into it. Like, two of the one is an empty netter from all the way down the ice, takes some skill, gets it, hat trick goal. But the other two, the shots, pretty impressive shots. One of them in particular, like that one-timer, Brownie, was really something.
Well, to me, the best one-timer in the NHL is Leon Draisaitl from the angles that he scores from. Like, he shouldn't be able to hit the net from where he is. Ovechkin is always in the same spot. And this is what's so amazing about a guy that scored 880 goals or whatever he's got, 882, I think it is. To be able to score where everybody knows where you're standing on the ice. Everyone knows Ovechkin's there. Yet he still is able to beat the defenseman who's trying to get in line and beat the goalie. That puck was in and out of the net. I don't think Pickard could have turned and caught the puck coming out of the net. It was in and out. It would have beat him twice. There's very few in the history of the National Hockey League that can shoot like that. And I don't know if there is anyone. It was an absolute bomb. And then the other goal you talked about, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, with that much time and space, are hitting that 100 times out of 100. And Ovi's a better goal scorer than both of them. That was just terrible defensive play by the Oilers. But what a shot to come in all the time in the world. And it's a wrist shot. He is so strong a man, and his shot is so heavy. Calvin Pickard had zero chance on that. Zero. You could have told Calvin he's going bottom right corner. He's not making the save because that was such a good shot. So it is astounding at age 39 that he's still this relevant. Like, he is leading the best team in the NHL. He's leading them in goals. That is quite impressive.
So let's, and we'll get into the goals against here with Noodles a little bit, because we'll talk some of Pickard's day here. He was able to see most of the game. Noodles was traveling today. So you don't think that he had a chance on that OV goal? Fair enough.
Nope.
The first one to me, no chance on the first one. The second one, I think we'll discuss in a minute here. The point shot that came in. The third one, Ovi, no chance. The fourth one, Ovi, the power play snipe, just an insane shot. The fifth one, they passed it around. Pretty much every Oiler ended up on his ass because they passed it around so many times. No chance there. And the sixth one was a rebound off the power play. He made a save, rebound, and I think it was in. And a wide open net there. So, and then the seventh was an empty netter. So, getting into the details here, and some might think he should have had that OV snapshot. I'm kind of with you. Like when you get beat clean by Alex Ovechkin with a clean look, I think he's been doing that to people all year long. So I look at the one from the point. What did you see on that one?
Well, it's funny. If you're an Oiler fan or you're an Oiler coach, you're like, okay, you got to have that. It is a wrist shot from the point. And we actually saw one of these a few games ago on Stuart Skinner, where Skinner wasn't ready. He's kind of standing looking up, and the puck went through him. I can't remember which game it was, and this is the same thing. Pickard wasn't ready. He wasn't expecting that. But if you're on the other side of it, and I'm a goal scorer, you're taught get in the goalie's eyes. And there was a high screen in the goalie's eyes. And your guy shooting, okay, I'm moving the puck, getting it into an area. Okay, now I see. The goalie can't see me. I'm going to fire it from here. So as an offensive player, smart play by Chychrun. Smart play, I can't remember the forward that was in front, but smart play by him being in the high slot in the goalie's eye. So all those things were smart on the offensive side. Having said that, it was a wrist shot from the blue line that went through the goaltender. You're a team right now that is fragile defensively. That's one that probably you want to save on that one. They do go in, but you want to save on that one.
Yeah, completely agree. 18 goals against in their last 3 games, buddy. And the penalty kill is really scrambling here. Scrambling the penalty kill.
I thought that's why
it's hurtling in the wrong direction. Yeah,
I thought that's why
exactly.
He's like, okay, when there's PK struggles, I'm going to take some time away. But the goals, like you look at yesterday, and Noodles will talk about it, but Skinner's taking a beating, and Pickard, both the goaltenders are taking a beating. And there's a lot of people, they need to make a goalie change. Skinner in the game yesterday gave up 6 goals. Or 5. Did he let in an empty netter? I can't even remember yesterday because the score was 6-3. Was there? Yeah, there was an empty netter, I think. So he let in 5. So he let in 5 goals. He also stopped 3 breakaways and a 2-on-0. So, I mean, they say, well, he's got to make a save at some point. Well, he stopped 3 breakaways and he stopped a 2-on-0. So really, you're giving up too many grade A chances if your goalie is making big saves. And today against Pickard, I mean, there was a number of shots. Like Ovi had 9 shots, 10. Like there were so many.
He could have had about 6 today. Hey, he could have had about 6 legit today.
Well, he probably didn't score on 2 of his best opportunities right in front. Like Ovechkin was left twice by himself in front of the goaltender. So it was the others. Goaltending, could it be better? Yes, but right now, to me, there are so many problems defensively for this team that I don't care who they have in net. They're not going to win hockey games when you play as poor defensively as the Oilers have. And this, again, has been Chris Knobloch talked about it. There was a stretch where they were winning games because they played just good enough. They're beating bad hockey clubs. But when you play good hockey clubs like that, well, we saw in the last 3 games what happens.
Yeah, this team's, they've started off in a pretty bad rut here. Let's get to the Weiss Johnson sound box. Weiss Johnson's offering 10% off any new furnace installed before March 1st. So get on that should you need to replace your furnace because it's unreliable and you want a newer, better model that is more efficient. Mention you heard it on Got Your Back. When you book your estimate, you'll receive 10% off your new furnace. Visit weiss-johnson.com today.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Chris Knobloch, on how his team looked today.
That we just looked slow to defend, slow to get up ice on the attack. I think a lot of it had to just not finding our legs. And that makes it difficult to create offense if you're not moving, and gives them a lot more time and space to make plays. And I felt that they were able to make a lot of plays.
Connor McDavid.
They come at you in waves, wave after wave. They got, 4 lines, 6 deep men, and they just roll them. They're an impressive group. Obviously, they're having a great year. So, is there a way to play against that? I mean, push back. I mean, I don't know. It was just not good.
Corey Perry said the players chatted in the locker room after the game.
Everybody knows how we can play, how good this group is when everybody's playing the right way. And the last, probably 6.5 periods are not the right way. And if you recognize that, you can start to build and start to look up.
Last point we'll make before we get to our relentless player and then to Noodles next segment. Different losses. Yesterday was a lot of self-inflicted wounds in terms of just turnovers and careless puck management. They cleaned up some of that today, Brownie. There weren't as many just egregious ones. Today was more about a better team that they didn't meet their level and got beat clean today by a better team that was frankly working harder and executing way better. But it wasn't the 5-star mistakes today.
No, it wasn't. Well, the Washington Capitals throughout the night had stretches in the offensive zone where they have 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 50 seconds. They crisscross, they drop passes. They looked like when Connor and Leon play on a line together and have those shifts where it's like, when's the goal going in? We know the Oilers are about to score, and they crisscross. They get a number of good looks, and their defensemen are down low, forwards are up high. Well, the Capitals did that over and over again today. And again, this is a Dylan Strome that couldn't make it in Chicago. It's a Dubois that LA could not wait to get rid of. It's a Mangiapane. I mean, there are all these cast-offs of other teams that dominated. They dominated the Edmonton Oilers today. And again, they're the best team in the NHL right now. And credit to the coaching staff and the way these players are playing. But it was a mismatch. And it shouldn't have been. The Oilers are a much better team than they showed today. But when they don't bring a desperation and an urgency to their game, their talent level isn't good enough to beat good teams. And today you saw that.
K. Gill is fired up, wants to talk goaltenders. That's coming up. We got Jamie McLennan coming in, buddy. So we'll have a large-scale discussion on the Oiler goaltending. I forgot this too, Brown. I need to ask you. It's easy to question in hindsight. But I do have to say, as I was writing down the Oiler lines before this game, I went, what? What? Why? McDavid, he needs his line mates right now. No. Don't take the good players away from Connor right now. No disrespect to the other guys. Why would you water down McDavid's line? He's tired. He needs these guys right now. I was confused by that, Brownie. Why did he do that?
I was shocked. They had to tell me 3 times on Ched because I'm like, okay, wait a sec. Repeat McDavid's line again. Okay, who's?
What?
He's got Kapanen, what? And again,
right out of the press box, under the top line.
Well, think about it today. So imagine you go into a playoff series in the first game and you're playing, okay, the Oilers, their first line is McDavid, Kapanen, and Podkolzin. Okay, we don't have to defend them. They're defending themselves. Like, seriously, it's I was shocked. I was. Now, again, the Oilers lines don't mean much because they start and then they never finish together. But you have 2 guys that were cast off some other teams. Podkolzin, who it's been a nice story. Kapanen, been a nice story. But they're 3rd, 4th line guys. And now you're playing them with the best player in the world in a game that you need to start turning things around. Yes, 100%. I was shocked by that line. Shocked.
Yeah, I was too. That was really odd. What did you think, folks? Steve, hop in here, buddy. Let's get to our DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll. Are you fired? Golf season 2025 gear from TaylorMade. Ping Callaway arriving at DeBoer's. Get ahead of the fitting rush and schedule your appointment today, located at 5311 99th Street here in Edmonton. I think this one will be pretty lopsided, but keep in mind, what did you think heading into the game, Steve? That's kind of what we're asking, not of the overall result because it sucked. But go ahead, Steve.
Okay, so the question is, what do you think about today's line shakeup? So 4 options are, I'm fine with it. It was needed. It's the right idea, but the wrong combinations. There was no need for it, or it was an overreaction to Saturday.
Okay, there you go. A few different options there. Maybe you didn't mind the fact that he wanted to shake things up after yesterday's result, but just didn't love where he landed on the combinations, right? That would be right idea, wrong combos. I might be somewhere in that mix. Don't mind a little bit of a shakeup after yesterday, but certainly would not have taken the help off of Connor McDavid's line. Okay, that was our breakdown brought to you by the Alberta Ram dealers. When we come back, Jamie Noodles McLennan, best pal of Jason Strudwick. We're going to talk a little tending when we come back, and a Struddy story for Struddy's World. So tons still ahead on the show. Stay with us. This has Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
We got a national guy, big time national guy, ready to rock and roll here on Got Your Back. Time for takeaways, brought to you by Martin Motorsports. Canadian born, Canadian made. Yes, the 2026 Skidoo model lineup is here. If the mountain is your canvas, carve your path on a new ride next winter. 2026 deep snow sleds ride effortlessly through the trees on your way to the highest peak. Visit them at their 2 Edmonton locations or online at martinmotorsports.ca. Jamie Noodles McLennan checking in now. How are you doing, buddy? Good to see ya.
I'm laughing more at those pictures of you and Struddy. You look like that movie Step Brothers there.
Yeah. We kind of did that one on purpose. Yeah, we thought you guys, everyone might get a chuckle out of that.
Brownie was dressed up, but instead he's wearing, jean shorts there. I don't know what the hell he was wearing, but he could pull his act together a lot better for pictures. If you know you're going to have pictures, at least pull your act together. When you leave the house, take a peek in the mirror as you walk out and present yourself.
Noodles, we've seen when he's tried to dress up, it ain't any better. It really isn't. Yeah. He doesn't own a mirror, apparently.
Yeah, believe me, I know. We went on a boys' trip 2 weekends ago, and I got a call from his wife just saying, "I'm sorry, he packed himself." Like, yeah, I didn't do it. I don't know what's going to come out of that suitcase. And we saw it was there was Mr. Rogers sweaters. There was all sorts of things going on.
Goodness sakes. For a guy that is so chirpy about everything and everybody around him, he just walks around just with a target on his back every single day with his clothing choices, Noodles. It makes it easy for you guys.
He wants confrontation. That's what it is. He wants to draw the attention to himself and go, "Why did you wear that? What is going on with your hair? Why are those jeans too tight? Like, what's going on here?" That he just wants the confrontation. That's what it is.
What a piece of work. Not even here to defend himself, but I don't care. I don't care. Okay, so Noodles, we're really happy to have you on, man, because what we want to do here, we'll talk a little bit about Pickard's day today, because I know you watched the game, but we want to have a bigger picture discussion about Stuart Skinner and how the Oilers should be approaching this year's playoff run with him as their starter versus the trade deadline, potentially making a change. There's a lot of dialogue about that in this market, and you being an expert, wanted to bring you on. But let's start with Calvin Pickard's day today. Of the 6 goals that he was in the net for, Brownie and I picked out the second one from the point as not a great one. Neither of us had a lot of blame for him on any of the other ones, including Ovi's snapshot from the slot, which Brownie and I feel like, hey, that's Ovechkin. Where do you come out on his day?
Okay, yeah. I mean, there was a couple. I think Klingberg and Nurse could have taken their gear off on the one play. It was going back and forth, and Klingberg decided, "I'm going to just skate in the corner." I don't know what happened.
That was
there.
Weird.
First so weird. Like, okay, we've got 3 people in front of me. I'm going to play goalie, but not take over. And it just goes side to side. And la-di-da and in the net. I mean, that was an ugly one. But the thing is you can get a little bit of support and help from forwards coming back through the middle and maybe getting some sticks in lanes. I agree. The shot from the point, the thing about Pickard, and I'm just going to go big picture with him.
Okay.
Some of the goals he allows, he's not a Picasso in net to start off with, okay? Grant Fear was the greatest. Grant Fear could allow a goal, and he looked amazing doing it. Just there was the effort, there was the explosiveness. Pickard doesn't have a traditional butterfly, right? So where the pads are, symmetry out. He has more of like a V. So his legs, he doesn't have the hip flexibility to do a butterfly. So a lot of times he moves side to side and he just goes down. And that play on the Chychrun goal, like he was just late. He's trying to find the puck and it goes down and goes through him. Like I didn't like that play at all. Mm-hmm. To me, you got to find that puck. So that was a goal that I would lay on him. The Ovi shot, you're right. It's Ovi, but you expect your goaltender to make a save, a sprayed on, like there was no screen. You expect your goaltender to make a save. Especially at a critical time. And yes, it's a 3-on-2 and Ovi takes middle ice again, and it's Alex Ovechkin. But those two I would kind of circle as to, okay, you need to give us a chance here. But this team gave up a touchdown today and a non-converted touchdown yesterday. So, you can't really, yes, goaltending is the end result of the sum of all parts, but there's plenty of blame to go around. So Pickard's day, I didn't love it. But if I had to line all the guys up on the wall, that wall would be full of guys whose game I did not love today or yesterday. I mean, they're still on a beach. I don't know what they did in the break, but some of them didn't skate or some of them didn't handle the puck or do anything, any mental vision as to what are we going to do when we come back down the stretch here. They look completely uninterested, completely unprepared, and that's not not a shot on the coaching. That's more a shot on the players going, where do we go on the ice? Like some of this stuff I used to call it, and the Oilers have gotten away from it, the dog park defense, where it's like you go to a dog park and there's a bone and a bunch of dogs just chasing it around. That's what they do sometimes when they're just kind of out of sync and they didn't look connected. So long-winded answer. Pickard's day I didn't love, but he didn't get a lot of help from guys in front of him.
Mm-hmm. Brownie?
Seems fair. Yeah, and I go back to yesterday's game too, Noodles. I mean, people are all over Skinner. And it goes to the amount of goals they gave up, a 7 and a 6. Skinner, they say they need saves from Skinner. Yes, he gave up, 5 yesterday, but he also stopped 3 breakaways and a 2-on-0. So there were stops. Yeah. It's just you're giving up that many grade A's over and over again. They're going to go in. So a goaltender, you're asking for Hercules type effort if you want to win a hockey game, given that many chances against. So both goaltenders could have been better in the last 2 games. But to me, they're not at the top of the list of things that needs to be fixed. This is a team, as you call it, the dog park defense. The last 12 games, this team has been terrible defensively. And it's also affected their goaltender. You as a goalie would know more than anyone, as a goaltender, you want predictability. Yes. I want to know when I'm looking here, I know this is going to happen. This is going to happen because I trust my teammates. If there's not predictability, now as a goaltender, you're guessing. And any player in hockey, if you're guessing, you're in trouble. But more so, if you're guessing, well, you're already starting behind the 8 ball.
I'll tell you guys a quick story. And it actually sums up because it ties back. Devin Dubnyk, I used to joke when he left Edmonton, he deserved a Purple Heart because that was just a mess. When his whole time he was there, like the team was no good. It ended up hurting his game. And to the point where I know the teams, but I don't know the order. But he bounced around. It was Nashville. It was Montreal. He was the 4th goalie there. I think Arizona or Phoenix, he was there. But then he ended up in Minnesota. And he ended up being an all-star goaltender. And I remember talking to him. I went to the all-star game, and I had a good chat. I sat for 30 minutes with him. And I said, what's different? And he said in all of these other stops, obviously his game matured a little bit, but he said in Minnesota, I knew exactly how they wanted to play. So he goes, it actually suited a 6'6" goaltender who could just front pucks because he knew that not that, the back door was going to be taken care of, the seams. And he said in Edmonton by the end, he goes, I was thinking 5 plays were going to happen. So I would not be focused on the original shot. I would think, okay, that's going to go back door. That's going to go here or there. So I would cheat and I'd be a little bit deeper. And then the original shot would beat me. And he said, so I beat myself before the puck would come to me. The Oilers can't get into that situation where the goaltender's trying to do too much. The goaltender has to do his job, make the saves that you should, and maybe a couple that you shouldn't. And you're right. Skinner was hung out to dry yesterday. Pickard had a 3 or 4 plays today where it's like you can't blame the goaltender. So the team's got to clean that up, but they go hand in hand. And Brownie, Rishaug, you know this too as players. If you don't trust what's going on in the net, you play different because you're like, I don't know if I can trust if we give up a shot from that angle, is that guy going to make that save? Where when you have a guy who's really reliable in the net and they work hand in hand, you're connected, then it's like, okay, we'll give up that shot. That guy, we're going to trust him to make that save. Or yes, a puck bounces over a stick. We need a big save here or there, which goaltenders do, but they're not connected. Am I concerned? Yes, I've been concerned about Skinner's game all season, not just because it's been wildly inconsistent. I think he hasn't found that groove. And when I define Stuart Skinner, I look at the Chris Osgood model in Detroit. We look at the Four Nations face-off. Jordan Bennington. The team was going to be a good team in front of a goaltender that's not a Hall of Famer. Okay, so that's and so play that way and not stress the goaltender. Don't expose his weaknesses and make him look bad because hey, it's a 2-on-1, but he doesn't move side to side real well. So guess what? The puck goes in back door because he can't get there. So to me, you've got to find a way to be connected. When the team is really good, and when they were on that stretch coming off the slow start and then they just got heated, the goalies were making good saves, but the team was rock solid defensively. So they weren't giving up you guys get the stats, the Sport Logic stats and all of that. They weren't giving up 21 high quality, high danger chances. They were giving up 8, 10, 12, and a goalie can handle that.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to dive into some stats here and you can kind of give me your concern level. To your point, Stuart Skinner this season has not found the level that he was at, certainly in the playoffs and last year. Yeah. And, there's some numbers here that a lot of fans are bringing up and really concerned with Noodles. So I pulled a few numbers today. So 14 starts this season against teams that are currently in the top 10 based on points percentage. His record is 3-8-2. He had the one pull against Colorado. He's got a .335 goals against average and an .863 save percentage against top 10 teams currently in the standings. As a reference point, Jake Ottinger, 14 games played against top 10 teams, right? Same number. Yep. He's got a 2.71 goals against average, right? Skinner's was .335. Now, he's got an .888, so not that much different in save percentage, but there's an idea for you. John Gibson has had 7 games against teams in the top 10. He's 2-5, whatever. Anaheim's not a great team. 2.71 goals against average and a .910 save percentage. So against higher-end teams, Skinner has really struggled this year. In his last 8 games, he's got an .885 and a 3.0 goals against average and is 2-4-1. So there are those 2 statistical cases, and I'll make one more. And this is what people have been talking about a lot this year. Goals saved above expected. 20 goalies in the league with 35 games played. He's 20th among them in goals saved among expected. So of all the goalies that have played 35 games, dead last in that category. Gibson 6th at 15.5% this 15.5 goals above expected. Skinner overall this season among all goalies 71st in this category as well. Last year, he was 36th. He was 36th last year. He's fallen to 71st. In the playoffs, he was 11th at 1.9. So there are a number of stats across the board that show you just how significant the drop-off has been. But is it enough, Noodles, to have you go, you don't believe he's going to get to where he got to in the playoffs last year? Should the Oilers be questioning whether or not he can get back to where he was based on what he's showing them?
So, yes, just if you want a one-word answer, yes. But I'm going to work backwards from that because I look at guys who are not having great seasons. Evan Bouchard is a guy that stands out for me. We've seen the best of Evan Bouchard. And, if he's out of 10, if his 10 is his best, God, for me, he's a 3 right now. I just don't like and I'm talking his overall season. And the reason why I bring up Bouchard is I have a bar set for him. So let's look at the Stuart Skinner bar. Okay. I come back to the model of the way the team is built and they rely on him. This isn't, I'm going to sit here and kick Stuart Skinner in the junk. What I'm going to say is there are things that are his limitations. Okay. He's big. He covers a lot of net. He's durable. He played 82 games last year. That's 59 in the regular season, 23 in the playoffs. Yes, there was a little bit of the ditch in the playoffs where Pickard had to, give him a break, and he did a great job. They are pot committed on Skinner. But here's what I'll say is they need another goaltender anyways, because if, God forbid, after the trade deadline, Stuart Skinner tweaks a groin or rolls his ankle or does something, it's Pickard and Rodrigo. What's his last?
Yeah, Rodrigo.
Yeah, and I watched him. He's not an NHL goaltender. He might be sometime in the future. He's not right now, and certainly not down the stretch for them. Even though he's had good numbers in the A, in the past and that. They need somebody at the deadline that is a veteran presence. I don't think you're trading for a starter. What you're trading for is depth and guys who can give NHL minutes in the absence of Skinner, in the absence of Pickard. To me, I look at other teams. I live in Toronto. Brad Treliving goes and gets Matt Murray, slides him through the minors. The guy's got 2 cups. He's going to play for the Marlies. If there's an injury, he comes up. It's not going to be Hildeby. It's not going to be anybody else. To me, they need somebody to challenge in that position. So I'll come back to Skinner. It hasn't been good enough. He's got to find a consistency down the stretch. And Shauger, you just laid it out. Numbers don't lie. I'm an eye test guy, but then I look at the numbers and I go, do they match or do they not match? So let's dig into it to tell me why they don't match. From what I've seen, and I've watched every game of the Oilers this season, there hasn't been the consistency from Skinner. There's been great games. There's been poor games. They've won in spite him. He's had maybe 1 or 2 steals. I believe he's had 1 or 2 steals of a game this year. Outside of that, he's just been, hey, he's a goalie in the net and they score 4 and they give up 3 or they give up 2 and that's great. He's got to find a way for more consistency. And if they don't believe that he can get to that level, then I don't know where the John Gibson thing. I was actually going to ask you guys, where that came
last
from.
night. Yeah, he got hurt last night. And I think
John Gibson's got 3 or 4 years left on his deal at 6.4. Yes, Anaheim would have to bite a huge part of that. But I did a stat last year on John Gibson, and in an 18-month stretch, he came out of the game 19 times. Now, some of that was pulls. Other times, it was like, I just didn't come out for the third period. I don't know what happened to him. Like, he was sick and tweaked this and that. And you just mentioned he got hurt. I don't even know his medical file, but I would be terrified of having that medical file come into my organization. Even though I like him as a goaltender, I just don't know what number that would be. But long-winded answer, Skinner has to be better, but they need to trade for a goalie regardless because there's no depth in that position.
And going forward, like if you look at the last number of years in the playoffs, Carolina a couple of years, they went to their 4th goalie. The Pittsburgh Penguins went to their 4th goalie. teams, goalies are getting injured at a rate that we never saw when we played Noodles, that you do need depth. I mean, that we saw in a series where Pittsburgh was there in their fourth goalie. Like their two goalies dressed were two guys that were in the minors. So I can understand 100%. I don't watch Rodrigue play. I don't watch any of the American Hockey League. But I trust you when you say he's not ready for the National Hockey League. And you're right. If Skinner goes down with an injury and goalies do get hurt, all of a sudden you got Pickard and Rodrigue. Is that a good enough goaltending tandem to win you a Stanley Cup? A couple of years ago, Vegas, when Vegas beat the Oilers and won the Stanley Cup, it was their fourth and fifth goaltenders that were dressed that knocked out the Oilers.
It was, and that's the interesting. Their fifth goaltender was Jonathan Quick, though. They grabbed him at the deadline, and Quickie didn't play. So they had Robin Leonard, who, Robin's had some problems and all that, and so he was gone. And then it was Logan Tom. No, it was Larry Brossoit. Larry Brossoit.
He's the one that got hurt against the Oilers.
Brossoit got hurt against the Oilers. Hill comes in, but there was Quick there. There was Logan Thompson there. I mean, they had a five.
But Noodles. So what you're talking about is adding another goaltender, and it's pretty clear that they need to. But the question facing Stan Bowman right now is, what amount of asset do I need to spend on what caliber of goaltender to bring in? So are you going and getting a 1B that will push Skinner for the rest of the year and maybe even take the net for game one of the playoffs? Or are you going out and getting a clear 2 who you believe is as good as, or maybe an upgrade on Pickard, who Skinner more than likely will still have the net ahead of? And that's, I think, what Oiler fans are struggling with. I think a lot of Oiler fans feel an upgrade on Skinner is required, as opposed to what you're talking about, which is more insurance.
Well, I think right now in the season that Skinner's had, it's easy to just go, well, you need an upgrade on Skinner. Okay, great. What's that going to cost you? And how much cap room do you have? Like, hey,
and who's it going to be?
Let's call Tampa. Vasilevsky might be available. Like, you can't be stupid. Like, we always do these silly, you're sitting on your couch and what if, hey, let's just trade for Shesterkin and give him the kid from St. Albert here, the kid who just played.
Savoy.
Savoy. And that's straight across. The Rangers will have no problem with that. The Rangers will eat $8 million of a salary. Like, you want to be silly? You have to go through the league and see potentially who's available. Now, I'm throwing it out there. It's not going to happen. But like Dan Vladar will go at the deadline from the Flames. Because the Flames have Logan Cooley in the minors who's played really well, and I think they want to give him a chance. The Oilers and the Flames aren't trading him to the Oilers, but maybe there is a scenario where Vladar gets traded to another team and it's a circle back and and flipped a 3-way. Who knows? But Vladar is a guy that is an NHL goaltender who will challenge for minutes, but it still may not mess with it if they're pot committed on Skinner. I think it gives healthy competition, but it also gives him the pathway to go, you're the guy, go back and get back to your game. I don't know if there's a one out there. I know Detroit's got a lot of goaltenders. Billy
Husso and Vamelka's names both come up.
The one guy I would like, the one style of goaltender I would like is somebody who has a clean butterfly. I know it's a weird thing to say, but even
thing to say. I love it.
But it is. But even Skinner doesn't have a clean butterfly. Like if you look at it's close, his flexibility is good. But I like goaltenders who cover the nets like on the ice very well and have good lateral movement. And Stu works to get across. Everything is a work. He's big, and the strength of his game is he'll set his angle, and then a lot of pucks hit him because he's 6'4" and he'll take some ice. You get him moving and opening him up, that's where he gets himself into trouble. That's where the team gets in trouble. That's why when they're tight defensively, he doesn't get exposed. He makes the saves that he should.
Yeah.
So, Shauger, I agree. Like it'd be easy to do the Colorado. Hey, let's just get rid of 2 goaltenders
Yeah,
in
just swap 'em out.
mid-season. But you know what? They went like Blackwood was the guy that I circled for a lot of teams. He was 27, making 2.8 million, and playing in San Jose. Like you could have got him, or not you, but like either the Oilers or whoever had questions in net. He was available, and you could have got him. And he's a nice goaltender. He's a really good goaltender, and he's starting to settle in Colorado. So I do believe they need somebody, but it comes back to what you're saying, Shogger. Do they believe they need the upgrade on Stu, or do they need somebody who can challenge him and still give him a pathway if they believe that he can get back to, hey, he took him to a Stanley Cup final within 1 goal. Can they get over the hump? I don't know. Like that's
it'll be fascinating. Yeah, well, you got to come back and join us once more before trade deadline, because when it gets down to crunch time and decision time, it'd be interesting to know where your head is at on it. Stan Bowman's got some big decisions to make, because if he is going to get a significant goaltender, that means he's going without something else that this lineup potentially needs. That was Takeaways brought to you by Martin Motorsports. Noodles, we're not going to let you go just yet, because we love your Struddy stories. By the way, how was the first ever Struddy's World that you were on with? His world premiere debut of his new show, and you were the star. What'd you think?
It was great. I mean, I made fun of him because I was on his first ever radio show when he had like a midnight show on a Sunday night. And that was,
I remember that.
That was Wayne's World. Like it was like, you
bad.
remember when Wayne's World, it was literally, something happened to Wayne and Garth was just sitting there with the mic. That was Struddy. You know what? It was awesome. He's great. And you know what? It's going to be a lot of fun. He's got the hot takes and he's got all these crazy stories, and it's going to be must tune into podcast for sure.
I agree. All right. Well, we need a Struddy story, and that will be the content in today's Struddy's World. Roll the animation, Steve-O. Let's do it.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good.
His best stuff of the year, though, Noodles. His best quote of the year is this one.
Get the respect.
The Rodney Dangerfield. Yes, it is time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. They got locations in Calgary and Edmonton, so if you're a contracting business or a contractor, let DLR help you add vinyl fence to your product line. Reliable, unmatched service with high-quality North American-made products. Visit DLRvinylproducts.ca. You have so many stories to choose from, probably 3/4 of them. You can't tell, even on a podcast. What do you got for us on the big guy, Noodles?
Okay, so I was going to give you guys a multiple choice. I've got 3 stories. You guys choose one from the title, okay?
Brownie, your choice. Brownie, it's up to you.
Okay, Brownie, I'll let you go. So the first one is Iggy/Struddy battle. So it's Jerome McGinley/Struddy battle. The second one is Craig Berube/Struddy, which is a really good one too. And then the third one is a Vegas story, and I have a million of those. So you guys choose.
Well, I think the other ones are fights. I want to hear about Vegas. I want to hear Vegas Struddy.
Vegas, baby.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, actually, the Iggy Struddy one isn't a fight, but I'll get into it another time. It's a really good
We'll
one.
have you back.
It's an on-ice chirping. Okay, Vegas. So we do a boys trip annually, and when we were younger, we used to go to Vegas, and, Struddy was single back in the day. All of us, actually pretty much everybody except for like Iggy and Nasher. But we go to Vegas and just enjoy ourselves. And what happened is we went out late one night, and it was late. It's 4:00 in the morning, and Struddy's overserved and whatever. So we wake up early, and it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. We go down to the pool, and, everyone's kind of hungover. You're like, okay, we're just going to. It's a nice pool, beautiful day. It's 100 degrees out in Vegas. And out of nowhere, a bucket of beer appears. And when it's like still in your system. So Struddy drinks a couple, and he's like out of it. Like it's almost like he's back on the train, and he's wading through like the pool, knocking people off of their floaties, and he's a disaster. So they kick him out of the pool, and they say, go sit in the chair. He tries to sit in the chair, like in one of those lawn chairs, falls through it, and it's like wrapped around his head. So security goes, you got to get this guy out of here. We send him up to the room, and we don't see him the rest of the day, nothing. And then afterwards, we're going to go out. We go for dinner, and then we're going to go out 10 o'clock. I'm rooming with him. I go in, he's passed out buck naked on top of the sheets. And I said, Struddy, we're going to go out. He jumped up and was the first star at the bar again that night. Wow. So we're talking about a guy who went all night.
Second shift, yeah.
Kicked out of the pool, kicked out of the casino, sent to his room, and then passed out, and then rallied at 10 o'clock, and then we did it all again the next night. And then on the way home, we were flying WestJet, and I was sitting beside him, and he was having a tough time. He had sweat right through his sweater, and the flight attendant came over, and they were concerned about him. They were like, are you okay? He was sweating profusely. Like, they were concerned for his health. They thought they might have had to circle the plane back. So that's a Jason Strudwick 36 hours, and to the point where the WestJet people were like, we don't know if we can continue on because this guy is sitting in 24C is having a tough time.
I love it. Yeah, we've heard some pretty legendary stuff about that man, Brownie. That adds up. Hey, Brownie, makes sense.
It does. I've been with Struddy. I've been with Struddy at some of Noodles' old parties that he used to have, where he used to bring the band in from St. Louis. I went once to, I think it was Grand Prairie. We're on the way up. We're driving. Struddy's like, Brownie, I'm going dark tonight, man. Just so you know, I needed this, and I am going to be absolutely plastered. And he was. And then he's feeding chicken wings or chicken fingers to some old lady in a casino cafe at 2 a.m. Here you go, bro. Here you go. So yeah. So I've seen Struddy when he's it literally. Life is Struddy's world. Like literally, that is the best ever name for a podcast because we all do live in Struddy's world.
Yeah, get no respect.
All right, that was Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Noodles, I know you just got back off the road. I know how busy your schedule is, buddy, so I really appreciate you jumping in with us tonight. Thank you, my friend.
No problem. Thanks for anytime for you guys, and we'll chat soon.
All right,
see
you, pal. All right,
Take
that
care.
is Jamie McLennan. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Brownie points. Ask us anything. We got Take a Lap. Lots more way long into this show, so buckle up. Lots more still ahead here on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolanddentistry.com.
Time now for Brownie Points, brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. If you're looking for a delicious way to support your team, club, or cause, Hamel's Premium Jerky offers an easy and profitable fundraising opportunity. Raise funds with a high-quality product that everybody loves. Contact him today online, albertajerky.com. Brownie, hand out some points, buddy. I would like to put in a vote for at least 100 Brownie points for Jamie McLennan coming on and dropping the hammer on the goaltending discussion that we've all been having.
Well, it's way better when a real goaltender talks about it. They know, they see more and understand more. When he starts talking about, he gets his fingers here and it's like talking about doing this. What is he calling it again? The splits or the I don't even remember
Butterfly?
the words he were using.
Butterfly.
He's doing the butterfly there. So, I mean, it is, Jamie McLennan is one of the best people for doing that, but also he is just a good guy. I love Noodles. All right, let's start with some brownie points. I got a lot to start with. I'm giving 882 brownie points to Sergei Ovechkin, whose father today had a hat trick, and the kid got 3 fist pumps at the glass. I don't know if you noticed, every time Ovechkin scored a goal tonight, he skated across the ice and gave a fist pump through the glass. His kid was down about row 3. Kid came down and pumped him. So Sergei's dad.
That's the perfect spot for him to have tickets. I mean, how many goals? Because I believe they're on offense twice at that end, and he's right off the circle where his dad's always shooting. So that's got to be by design, I would think.
I would think so. I think Alex can decide where the seats for his wife and kids get to be at any time in a hockey game.
Exactly.
Sergei's dad is now only 13 goals away from the all-time goal scoring record. I've got minus 13. I'm taking 13 brownie points away from the Oilers' defensive effort this weekend. They gave up 13 goals in 2 games. Way too much. And it wasn't all on the goaltender. This is on the team as a whole. 13 was probably the fewest number of goals they were going to give up the way they played this weekend. That was as poor a defensive effort in the last 24 hours as I think we've seen the Oilers play all season long. I got one big, huge, giant brownie point to Washington Capitals head coach Stephen Carberry. This is a team that many picked to miss the playoffs. I am one of them. After game 57, they are number 1 in the National Hockey League. Most teams that are overachievers, after the first 20 games, they start to settle to where they belong. This team just continues to impress. They were better tonight than they were the first time that they played the Edmonton Oilers in Edmonton a while back. I got 8 big brownie points to Team Canada D-man, Drew Doughty. He played 6 games all season and then got the call from Team Canada because of an injury. He goes in, probably a little shaky the first 20, 30 minutes of the first game, and then just became the Drew Doughty that if you were a Canadian fan, you love what he does for Team Canada. He had an excellent tournament, carried that into his first game back, had a goal and 2 assists yesterday, 3 points after a fantastic Four Nations tournament. A good LA team got much better with the addition of Drew Doughty. I got minus 20 in a weekend where I think you'll agree with me, where the Oilers looked smaller and slower. The Oilers this summer moved 3 players, Holloway, Fogle, and McLeod, brought in 3 players to replace them. The 3 that left, Holloway, Fogle, McLeod, have 44 goals on the season. The 3 that came to replace them, Arvidsson, Skinner, Podkolzin, 24 goals, 20 less. The 3 players that left are plus 40 on the season. The 3 players that the Oilers have are plus 6. The 3 players that left, Holloway, Fogle, bigger, stronger, faster, more aggressive. McLeod, not aggressive, not physical, but faster. And the 3 they brought in, they got 2 small guys, 2 slow guys. So there's a lot of talk about the Oilers needing to be bigger and faster. They were last year. They aren't as much this year. The big moves this year have not worked out. And they are minus 20 in goals and minus 34 in plus minus in the exchange of those 3 players.
Man, when you get the abacus out, you are vicious. You are vicious with the abacus. I love it. I love it when Brownie does the homework. He always pulls out the good numbers. Love it. That was an awesome addition of brownie points. Yeah, man, that was a big swing, size, speed, overall team speed wise for sure. Love it. Brownie points brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Okay, because we haven't talked about Alex Ovechkin enough, let's do our You Can Use Services Relentless Player of the Day. I'm really looking forward to their comedy nights that are coming up here. Got Your Back is going to be there. We're going to have a table, I think, on the last night. But they're coming up here in March, and it's in support of a fantastic cause. The comedy is awesome. There's good food there, great people, lots of laughs, silent auction items, all sorts of ways you can donate. Every ticket sold helps provide mental health support, job training, and mentorship to young people in need. So grab your tickets now, youcan.ca, mention Got Your Back, and that'll get you 10% off. Love You Can Use Services. We're proud monthly donors here at Got Your Back and encourage you to come on out to the comedy nights and check it out at youcan.ca. So you just talked about them, Brownie. 13 left. Who would have thought at the start of the year that this is where we'd be sitting at this point?
Well, especially when you throw the fact that how many weeks did he miss with injury? So you're thinking there's an outside chance he might be able to get the record this year, but then he goes down with an injury. I think it was he had a broken tibia or something broken in his leg.
Yeah.
So he's out so he's out for a while, and here he is 13 goals away. The first time the Oilers played Washington, Edmonton, I thought he was invisible in that game. It was probably the quietest I'd ever seen a game with Alex Ovechkin in it. Tonight, he was all over the place, everywhere. He had the 3 goals. He had a number of other grade A scoring chances. He didn't score on his 2 best opportunities where he's by himself in front of the net. He's 39 years old. He leads the best team in the National Hockey League in goals. He has a hat trick tonight. I would have bet my house that he was going to score the 3rd goal into an empty net.
I heard
and everyone
you say
in
that
Washington
on the
knew
radio.
that. I did. Well, it was funny.
You just knew
Calvin Pickard, as he was skating, when they were pulling him, he was skating to the bench. The fans in Washington all of a sudden started chanting Ovi, like over and over. Ovi. They knew that net is empty. Ovi's going to get a hat trick. And he hits it from, what would that be, about 175 feet away. And it was going in. It was going in faster than I could do a slap shot from 20 feet out. Like, he fired that down right in the heart. So Alex Ovechkin tonight was everything advertised. He is still a superstar in this league. And the best part of the chase that he has going on with Gretzky, he is relevant and his team is relevant. And you talked about it at the beginning of the show. If he's chasing a record on a team that sucks, I mean, it's not much or must watch TV. It's like Washington's on. I guess we're watching the game to see if Ovi scores, but this is the team that's dead last in the standings. They are a good team. He is a good player, and it just makes everything more exciting is this race. And it would not surprise me if before this season is over, Alex Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer in the history of the National Hockey League.
Yeah, he's going to get there. Looks like it. By the way, Knobloch, I heard Stoff didn't love the goalie pull there.
No, he did not.
I saw a few other people that didn't necessarily love it. Look, I didn't love his lines.
No.
But I don't know that I'm ready to criticize him for pulling the goalie. You got a lot of good offensive players who haven't had it that night. You're down 3. What did he pull it with? There was 3.5 minutes left or something like that? Or was it
with your best lines, with your best players out there?
With your best players out, I got no issue with it. And you know what? Who cares about the stats? Honestly, if players are worried about 1 extra goal against after their last 2 performances, if they're even thinking 1 ounce about my stats, then you got a bigger problem. I like that message Knobloch sent. I don't give a shit about your stats. We've still got an outside, way outside chance. I'm not even thinking about that. So I was fine with him doing that.
Well, last night, I think it was in Toronto, they scored 2 empty net goals. So they were they're playing Carolina. I think they pulled their goalie. Toronto scored. They pulled their goalie again. Toronto scored again. Give your team a chance to win. Seriously, I had no problem with them pulling the goalie. But you knew that Ovechkin was going to score. Ovechkin might have stayed on the entire 3.5 minutes. He was going to get that goal.
Okay, let's push ahead and take a look at the upcoming trade deadline. See who we think might be taking a trip. Brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. So if you're planning a trip, whether it's a dream vacation like Brownie just had, minus the bad news at the end of it, a quick winter escape or a trip to watch your team play, don't forget travel insurance, and Alberta Blue Cross has your back. They got a great program in place that'll get you emergency medical care, cancellations, lost baggage, and more. ab.bluecross.ca/travel. That is ab.bluecross.ca/travel. Struds and I have been working our way through a list of people that might potentially get traded. We'll take a look at Nick Bukestad here today. Brownie, we're familiar with him here in Edmonton. Oilers traded for him a couple seasons ago. Unrestricted free agent to come here. We kind of know what this player is about. And he's been, reasonably consistent through his career. This is a depth guy you would bring in if you wanted to round out your depth at center. A guy that he doesn't play an overly physical game night in, night out, but in a physical matchup, he can certainly handle himself. Not great in the face-off circle so far this season. He's only at 47.7%, but one of those guys that, he's been around, he has experience, he's a big body, doesn't move that bad for a guy that size. So you have to think someone would see value in a depth guy like this.
Oh, I would think so. He's right-handed shot too, I believe. He's a big guy, 6'5", 6'6". So we've got a little bit of offensive flair. The only issue you have is Utah is finally getting healthy. Does Utah keep everybody to try to see what we're capable of doing? Because he'd be a part of that. They're a better team with Bukestad, but yeah, if he becomes available, someone will want him. He's exactly what you want. You want a big, strong, right-handed centerman, and he is that. And as you said, he's not physical, but a physical game won't affect him. So it's like, we're playing Vegas. If they're physical, it's not going to affect Bukestad. He can take the punishment and continue to play. So yeah, 100%. He will make some team a little bit better after the deadline if he moves.
Oilers went with the three-headed monster down the middle today. McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent, Hopkins. What do you think, Brownie? Like, should a depth center be something that the Oilers are looking at? I don't love it when they go 1, 2, 3 down the middle with those guys. It thins them out so much on the wing. And I'm just thinking, for those wondering about Bukestad again, I don't think the Oilers would necessarily do that. But more along the lines of, how serious do you think they need to be looking at a fourth-line center here? Because Derek Ryan, Noah Philp, Matthias Janmark, or playing Henrique as the 4 behind Nugent Hopkins are kind of your main options. And I'm not sure I love that.
Well, I don't think the coaching staff does either. I mean, Janmark was a healthy scratch. Philp's back down in the minors. So they don't like that. And Derek Ryan's in the minors. So they're not happy with what they have at the fourth line. The problem is, as you said, the Oilers are thin on the wings. Tonight, Nugent Hopkins moved to third role. They gave him actually Hyman, but they're taking away from Connor. So now Connor's playing with Kapanen and Podkolzin. In all honesty, did they have any scoring chances, that line? 5-on-5? I don't remember a chance that they had. So when you put Nugent Hopkins as your third line center, you've just lost your second best winger behind Hyman. So all of a sudden, it's a big drop-off. Honestly, Hyman and Nugent Hopkins are good wingers for the Edmonton Oilers. Who's the next guy in line? If you're going to pick the third winger for the Edmonton Oilers, who is it?
Yeah, so you said Hyman and Nugent Hopkins? Yeah.
So who would be number 3?
Yeah, buddy. Honestly, it's you go, okay, Arvidsson.
Who's got 7 goals?
Podkolzin, Skinner. I mean, Henrique hasn't spent any time on the wing really since he's been here, but he would be an option. It's thin, man. Their need at top 6 winger is pretty significant here.
Yeah, again, I've liked what Podkolzin did, but he's not a top 6. Skinner, they still don't. I mean, tonight they had him in the fourth line to start again, so he's not in the good favors of the coaching staff. So I will stick with what I said. I think the number one thing the Oilers need is a goal scoring winger to play in their top 6. Now, again, we don't know about Evander Kane. I'm not as adamant as Struds is with the inability to get back in time for Kane in 6 weeks. I think he's capable of doing that. I think the players are in much better shape than when Struds and I played. But we just don't know if he'll be ready because I don't know how far away he is. But the Oilers, they are thin on the wings. And when you move Leon and Connor together, that's great. But they better score 2 or 3 because your bottom 9 is not any good. That's not right. Not as good. So you're putting a lot of pressure on your top line scoring at that point.
By the way, McDavid, Kapanen, and Podkolzin at even strength tonight. Shot attempts were 10-3 against. So they played 7 minutes together at even strength. Shot attempts were 10-3. Goals were 1-0 at even strength. And what else? Shots for were only 2-1, but shot attempts were 10-3. So they certainly were not driving play tonight. Okay, Steve, I'm losing track of where we're at, buddy. We got one more break, right? When we come back, we'll get taking a lap and ask us anything done.
Sounds good.
That's not okay. That's the plan. By the way, so lots of discussion about big picture, where the Oilers are at, and what all this means. Let's get a little perspective going in our next segment. Taking a lap, we're going to keep focusing on the Oilers' big picture. How are you feeling about where they're at? How much do you think needs to be done? How good is this team? Brownie and I will weigh in on that coming up after the break. Still lots ahead here on Got Your Back. Thinking of that dream vacation? A quick winter escape? Well, flight delays are dreadful. Hospital visits, not fun. Alberta Blue Cross gives you coverage for emergency medical care, cancellations, and lost baggage. Flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Plus 24/7 travel support ensures you're never left out in the cold. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
All right, welcome back to the show. Hey, throw us a thumbs up if you're in on the live stream. We appreciate everybody that's hopping in live on Twitter and X, I guess, YouTube, and on Twitch. Time now to take a couple of laps, brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson, I mean, goodness sakes, or a construction professional looking for work in Western Canada, they want to hear from you. They got jobs. You can join now by sending your resume to trades@acon.com. That is trades@acon.com. Looking for skilled tradespeople, construction professionals to join the Acon team. And you can get started building what matters today. That is trades@acon.com. Let's stay with the Oilers here, Brownie. I was listening to a post-game show that you did, some other post-game shows around town, reading some comments and such. And, you know, it's a 3-game losing streak. I think it's their second one of the year, I believe.
Yep.
It doesn't happen often to this group. But bottom line, they've lost 5 of 7, including 3 in a row here. They've given up the 18 goals. They're not defending nearly at the level they were before. Their special teams aren't as good as they were in previous years. The penalty kill is in tough shape. Like, there's a lot that in this moment, it feels like it's sort of like Defcon 1. If Defcon 1 is like hit the button and blow it all up, and Defcon 5 is all good, don't need to touch a thing. Like, I don't know, bud. A lot of times fans spend a lot of time in that Defcon 2, Defcon 1 range when I really don't think you need to be. I really don't. I think you can still kind of chill out a little bit if you're an Oiler fan here. Because before that, they won 19 of 25. This basically same group. They had won 11 of 14. They went on an excellent run through a big part of this season. So, I don't know, Brownie, what's your perspective for the stressed out Oiler fan right now that feels like nothing's going to go right and it's not going to turn around?
Well, I think you look at the NHL standings. You got 2 teams that are a little above everyone else, Winnipeg and Washington. And then the Oilers are with all the other ones, and better than most. I don't know where the Oilers are now in the league, probably around 4th or 5th. So if outside of Washington and Winnipeg, every other team in the league has had a stretch like Edmonton's having right now. They had to have, because they got the same amount of points as the Oilers. Things have not been good for the last 10 to 12 games. But before that, they were excellent. They were the best team in the National Hockey League. Same group. Nothing has changed. I think there's some tweaks that Stan Bowman would like to make at the deadline. But this to me isn't a blow it up type of thing. This is an Oiler team that it was like at the beginning of last year. There was a lot of fans that wanted, we need to make big trades. They got to get something out of the dressing room. They need to go get different goaltenders. It's incumbent upon the general manager to blow everything up because it's not good enough. And it was the same team that we had all predicted would be in the Final Four. And eventually, nothing really was changed other than bringing up a backup goaltender and getting rid of Campbell. It was more or less the same the rest of the year. And they found their game. And I think it's a lot the same right now. The Oilers' best player is Connor McDavid. He hasn't played very well the last few games. And we know he's going to be better. Evan Bouchard has not played well at all.
And it's been a little longer for McDavid in terms of being off his normal pace, right? It has been 100%. A stretch here where he's been off his normal pace. So, you know, sorry, continue on Bouchard.
And Bouchard, the same thing. I mean, Bouchard has been poor, and he's better than that. So the Oilers will get better. They will need a little bit of help at the deadline, but this is the same team that I predicted would be a Final Four team. I don't see anything different now. I'm more of a hockey player where I don't get too high or too low. When the Oilers went on that stretch, as you said, 19 out of 25, they're good, but they've got some warts, and they've lost 5 of 7. Yeah, they're not playing well, but I don't blow them up. So to me, they need to be better, and it's the worst part of their game right now is defensive play, and all that is hard work and focus and discipline, and we've seen them do it. They've had great stretches defensively, so it's just a matter of getting back to that. I predicted at the beginning of the season that the Oilers will be a top 4 team. They will be they have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. Nothing that I've seen in the last 7 games has changed that for me.
So if you think about what it took in that Stanley Cup final, the caliber of play that you need to find, to get there, and then to, get to 7 games, and you're a couple goals away from winning the thing. But where do you think this Oiler team is at right now compared to the quality of team that they had on the ice in that Stanley Cup final last year?
They're not as fast, and I think that's quite obvious. And when the Oilers play teams that are fast, it's noticeable. They're not as big. And we in the Brownie points, I talked about it. 3 players, Fogel, McLeod, and Holloway. And again, they moved out. A lot of fans wanted them gone. A lot of fans wanted Fogel gone. A lot of fans wanted McLeod gone. But they moved out 3 guys that are fast. Very, very fast. And Fogel was physical. Holloway, incredibly physical. They brought in Arvidsson, small and slow. They brought in Jeff Skinner, small and slow. And they brought in Podkolzin, who is physical. He's got some speed, but he doesn't have the offensive upside of any of the other 3 players. So I don't think they improved. And they expected that. That was Arvidsson and Skinner. They're playing with Leon. That's the best second line in the National Hockey League. Everyone's excited about it. It hasn't worked out. So those 3 players are not as good as the 3 players they lost. And they've got no Evander Kane right now. So are they as good as last year right now? No, they're not. And everyone thinks when we go back to last year, the Oilers, it wasn't an easy walk getting to the Stanley Cup Finals. They beat a Vancouver team in Game 7 that was without their number 1 goalie and without their number 1 goal scorer, and they beat them by 1. So that game could have gone either way. I think it was JT Miller that had a one-timer from the slot with 3 seconds to go. That could have gone differently. Game 6 against Dallas, that game should have gone 7. If you want to talk about Stuart Skinner, he won that game by himself. And McDavid said it afterwards, we should be going back to Dallas. And you go back to Dallas, you don't know what happened. So it wasn't a guarantee because of last year's success that they would be getting to the finals again. And their team, I don't believe, is as good today as it was last year. And that's something they might have to address at the deadline.
Yeah, and part of the concern is they're not as big and they're not as fast. Well, what happens in the playoffs? Generally, it gets faster and more physical, right? In the playoffs, those two things.
And you look at the Oilers, and you look at the Oilers division. If they don't win the division, and right now they're neck and neck with Vegas. If they don't win the division, they're going through LA and Vegas. Both teams big, both teams fast. So it's not an easy way to get out. Yeah, I do believe there's some things that need to be addressed at the deadline, and that goes to what we were talking about too, Schauger, and with Noodles. If you decide that Skinner, you have to upgrade on Skinner. To upgrade on Skinner, you're giving up big assets. It's not, you're not just going giving a 4th rounder and getting a starter. So you're upgrading. If you're upgrading on Skinner, well, you're not upgrading in a second line goal scorer. You're not getting a top 4 defenseman, and you might not be able to get a 3rd or 4th line depth player because the Oilers don't have a lot of assets. This is a team that's very, very low on assets because they've been all in for a while. So it's if you're going to go on a goaltender, well, he better be really good because you're going to have other holes in your lineup.
Yeah. Great perspective there, Brownie. That was Taking a Lap, brought to you by our friends over at Acon. All right, we've had a good number on the stream considering it's a Sunday afternoon. We appreciate everybody that hopped in. Throw us a thumbs up if you don't mind, and Steve will hop in here Let's get to Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies, an Edmonton-based independent electric wholesaler offering a wide range of products from lighting and lighting controls and wiring accessories, control and hazardous products, you name it, they most likely have it. Serving electrical contractors working in Alberta's oil and gas, commercial, residential, and OEM sectors. Check them out at bjelectric.ca. I feel like it was one of our more predictable polls of the year, Steve. How did it land, buddy, in our DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center poll?
All right, the DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center poll. Pretty predictable, but interesting in that I'd say it's pretty split 50-50 in one way. So anyway, the question again was, what do you think about today's line shakeup? At 39% was right idea, wrong combos. 29% was an overreaction to Saturday. 18% was I'm fine with it. It was needed. And 15% was there's no need for it. So, I mean, really 50-50 when it came down to like, it was a good idea to do and it was not a good idea to do. Yeah.
All right. There we have it. So what are the people feeling and talking about on the stream today, buddy? Bring us the action.
Okay, so JJ, wondering about just the back-to-back games. He says, my question is, do you think it's fair on the NHL's part that a team from the West plays at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. their time, 2 days in a row, pregame prep and all? What do you guys think?
Well, all teams go through it. It's like when a team from out east comes out and plays 8 o'clock in Edmonton. That's 10 o'clock their time. So it evens out. The players, the type of shape they're in nowadays, it shouldn't affect them. In all honesty, these guys are in the best shape of any player that's ever played in the National Hockey League. So it should be fine. I got no problem with it. I prefer afternoon games when I played. So to me, these two games had nothing to do with the time of the day. This had to do with the fact that the Oilers decided they weren't going to play good defensive hockey.
All right.
I defer to the guy that's been on those planes and done that.
Fair. Okay, Scotty Knows says the way this team comes back from breaks or starts seasons, I was fully expecting the 2 losses this weekend, but still hard to accept a 13-6 goal differential.
Here's Connor. Yeah. You know what? I didn't get to this, Steve. Let's get to McDavid and the Weiss Johnson soundbox here talking about the breaks.
Just getting back to work, sometimes this happens after breaks. Some teams come out flying, some teams come out flat. We've obviously done the latter. So we get back to it here.
Definitely got to get back to it. Yeah, Brownie, I'm not sure what you draw from that. I don't know if it's, some would say, well, did guys work hard enough during the break? Did they do enough? Did they work out enough? I don't know how you even measure that. We're not in a position to suggest that. But the overall, get after it meter is fairly low through 2 games here. So wherever that came from.
Yeah, well, they didn't look good. And they looked at times disinterested and at times confused. I've said before, there's zero chance I could have come back in as good a shape as I left if I had 10 days down in Mexico relaxing. So every team, but the thing is, we have had in the past where they've had some teams get a break and they would come back and play a team that hadn't had a break yet. That was a disadvantage. But these are teams that all had a break. So every team had an even playing field, and it's on the players, incumbent on the players to come back and be prepared. The Oilers certainly weren't.
All right, KGL39 says, don't you think the defense would be better if they could rely on their goaltending? They're gripping their sticks too tight at times and maybe are scared of making mistakes.
Yeah, I thought Noodles brought that up specifically, Brownie, about how teams maybe play a little bit different when they don't have the confidence that it's completely locked down behind them. You tell me.
Well, they had a goaltender that was, 14-5 on the season, playing behind them today. So that would be saying, so Bouchard threw the puck away twice yesterday because he was nervous of playing in front of that goaltender. I've played in front of goaltenders that have struggled, and we've known, okay, it's one of those ones, block everything. If they dump the puck in from center, block it. We do not want a puck to get through to our goaltender. I'm not taking any of the blame away from the players on this one. The players were terrible defensively. I don't care if they had a peewee goalie in net there. We've seen teams. Here's a great example. A couple of years ago, the Carolina Hurricanes went to Toronto, and both goalies got hurt, and they had to put an e-bug in. The rest of the game, the Toronto Maple Leafs were playing against Carolina. Carolina had an E-bug, a nobody in net. And the Carolina Hurricanes did not allow shots through. It might have been the best defensive effort ever because they knew they had a goaltender that was not good. He was a beer league goaltender, more or less. So they went out and played a type of hockey game that didn't allow the goaltender to become the story. And the Edmonton Oilers, as of late, you can't put that on the goaltenders. The Oilers have been terrible in front of them.
Okay. Brian Gandecki said, I'll be honest, boys, this might turn out to be a 6-game, he says loosening streak. I think he meant to write losing streak.
Losing streak?
Yeah, you look at this road trip and,
minus 10 brownie points for the spelling there for sure. So you blow the one against Philly. I mean, that's the one on this trip you absolutely had to go grab, hey, Brownie, because now you're staring down the barrel of, you got Tampa and then the Florida Panthers and then the Carolina Hurricanes right after that. So this is a bit of a gauntlet.
But was it last year? It was last year, the year before. I think it was last year where the Oilers the same thing. They started a road trip and they lost a couple, and the next 3 games were they're going to go 5-0. They're going to go 0-5 on this trip, and then they won one that they shouldn't have, and then they won the next 2. So
yeah, I remember.
So
that.
It doesn't look good. It really doesn't. But I do believe the Oilers are just a better team than we've seen as of late. Any team that has Connor and Leon, I'm never going to bet against them, but they have to be better. You can't play like you did this weekend and expect to beat any of the next three teams. So yeah. I'm going to say that they're not going to lose 5 straight on this road trip, and that might be just as an Oiler fan.
Yeah. All right, Steve-O, 2 more, buddy.
Okay. Peter Matichuk says, why play Seavoy 10 minutes? Only 10 minutes in a game like that. Would you guys have played him more at some point?
I mean, since he's up, maybe shuffle the lines around a little. Why not just chuck him on the line with McDavid there at some point, Brownie, or just, I don't know, give him a little bit of a, I don't know, he's there. You might as well play him a little bit more. What did you think?
100%. That's a great point by him. And I agree with you, Shogger. The game is over. And in all honesty, I think that when they made it 6-3, double shift him. Play him every second shift. Give him all. I mean, if they went with Connor and Leon for a while and they were playing, I think at one point Kapanen was playing with them. Another time Brown was playing with them. The game's over. Put Seavoy there. See what he's capable of doing. I mean, Seavoy got the fewest minutes of any player in the game today. The fewest minutes. He's the one that you're trying to give the audition to. So why wouldn't you show in a game that the game is over? If this was a 2-1 game, sure. But this was a blowout, and there was no way the Oilers were coming back. I don't care what happened in the third period. Washington is too good. Great point by that texter. That should have been another 5 minutes on Matt Savoy's game sheet tonight.
I got to tell you, though, man, Arvidsson, Skinner, and Savoy all in your top 7-8 forwards. Like, yeesh,
it's little.
That's water bugs. That's water bugs skating around out there.
Well, all right, think about it, Shogger, too. Yep. Before you go further, think about those 3 trying to get to the net against the Las Vegas Golden Knights defense. Yeah. I mean, they've come up to they might be able to go between some of their legs to get to those guys are big defensemen.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the last one, I unfortunately can't bring it in. It came in as a direct message from Twitter from Reese, but he was wondering about game jerseys and how often players will, like, how long they'll wear their jerseys for. Is it every single game? Is it less? And he was wondering that specifically for the NHL, but also at Four Nations, if players would have changed their jerseys more often so that there are more jerseys to auction or
any
do whatever.
Idea, Brownie? How many did you have during the year?
Not a lot. We would, in all honesty, maybe when I played 2 a year, 2 different, they would halfway through the year, you would switch, and everyone had to switch because they had to keep them in together all as one. I would think at the Four Nations, maybe they switched so that they could have, each player could take home a game-worn jersey, and then they would also have a game-worn jersey for, I don't know, the Hall of Fame or for auctioning off. I don't think it happens as much as people think. But I honestly, I don't know. I think when I played, I would have two a year, and that would be it.
Wow.
All right. Good stuff. Thanks for all the comments. Great contribution on the stream. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies. Brownie, who are you starting next game, buddy?
I'm going back with
Tampa,
Stuart Skinner.
then Florida. Just go right back to Stuart Skinner. Think about giving him both games? Let him work through it?
Well, I also, you want to know what he's got. I mean, the trade deadline's 2 weeks away. I mean, you got 3 games against 3 good teams. If he continues to falter and not play well, maybe that changes the mind of Stan Bowman. But no use having him practice and see if he can work it out in practice. What do you got? Is he good enough? This is a team that's built for today. So is this goaltender good enough to get you there? And if not, because it completely changes your March 7th objectives. If you're trying to get another goaltender, that changes everything that you're planned on doing. And I don't think they've planned on changing goaltenders. So if they change now where they think their thought process is, that completely throws everything that they thought they were going to do at the trade deadline and completely turns it upside down.
Yeah, and I'll maintain what I've been saying all along. I agree with you, Brownie. I don't think that a significant goaltending move has been in the plans. I don't necessarily think it is in the plans as we speak, but they have to be concerned about what they're seeing and wondering if it isn't something that needs to be a bigger part of what they're considering as they head towards the trade deadline here. There's momentum building towards it as the performances are dropping off even further here. So something we're certainly going to keep an eye on. Let's wrap it up with our play of the day, brought to you by Gallery Dental, offering a full range of services designed to keep your smile healthy. Their experienced team providing personalized care with the latest technology, making sure you get the best treatment possible at the dentist. Contact Gallery Dental, YEG.com. Nowhere to go on a day like today other than the grade 8 Alexander Ovechkin throwing out a hat trick. Fist bumps for the little fella. That was pretty interesting to see, and just a real solid night from Ovechkin. How many shot attempts did he have? How many shots did I took my scoring summary down. Wasn't he like 8 or 9? Something crazy?
I thought he said, Louis said 8 on the broadcast, and I thought he said, they just added another one. And grade A scoring chance. One of the coolest thing I saw today is when he scored the first goal and he sprinted across the ice and he's fist pumping the glass. And I'm looking, I go, that's got to be his kid. It's got to be his kid. And what a cool moment to be able to score a goal and then a second and then a hat trick goal in the National Hockey League and be able to fist pump your little boy against the glass. So pretty cool moment.
Pretty awesome. All right, Brownie. We don't need that big knucklehead, eh? You and I are just fine, man. We got good friends like Noodles to come in, chip in. We got Steve, barely even noticed he wasn't around, hey?
I forgot he was part of the podcast.
Yeah, get the respect.
All right, great job today, my friend. Thanks. We'll chat again real soon. Steve, good job behind the scenes, buddy.
Thanks, boys.
Sounds good. See you guys.
All right. Hey, everybody have a fantastic finish to your night. By the way, just a little content update for you here, if you hadn't noticed. So we dropped a pod Saturday after the game. We dropped a pod Sunday today after the game. We're going to drop a pod tomorrow night. We're going to drop a pod Tuesday night after the game. Oh, and then it got your back Struddy's World Wednesday at 12, and then another pod Thursday. Are you kind of getting what we're putting out there? Tons of content as we hurtle towards playoff time. We love doing the show. We love having you along for the ride. So keep an eye on our socials. We have a mountain of content coming your way as we continue to grow this thing. We're super excited. I know it was a tough weekend. They got a chance to redeem themselves against some good teams, and we're going to be along for the ride the entire way. Have yourselves a great finish to your Sunday, folks. Thanks to Play Alberta, our title sponsor, and we'll chat a whole bunch real soon.